Hello there. Thanks for joining me again for your number one sports business show. Sport Exchange. Jide Olano is my name. Yours truly today to man of the future in sports business. On today's show, sharing news for those who have worked hard as they are reaping the effect of success. Yes, on the local scene. That's talking about Nigeria business-wise. And also, we've got some international news for you. As far as sports business is concerned, these are some of the things we will serve you. And we're still staying on Africa on the dugout segment. We will be examining innovation as it's affecting African sports too. My guests will be unveiling or unpacking some of those things that they are doing in Africa. And of course, don't forget, we have our offside segment too. We'll be talking about our offside segment is about the Nigerian Football Federation election. Don't go away yet. I go on a break, and when I return, the program starts.
Fantastically finished.
Welcome back, straight to action. 100 meters hurdle world record holder Tobi Amusan is raking in the endorsement as Nigeria's digital and telecommunication services provider. Globacom announced her as its latest brand ambassador. Amusan was unveiled to the media at the ceremony held at the company's headquarters, Mike Adenuga Towers in Victoria Island, Lagos, Nigeria. The petite Commonwealth and African champion became the first Nigerian world champion in an athletic event when she won the gold medal in the 100 meters hurdle event at the 2022 World Athletics Championships. She set a new world record of 12.12 seconds in the semi-final and followed this up with a 12.06 seconds, though not legitimate as it was above the legal win in the final to take the gold medal. Also throwing around as sport influences world championship and Olympic medalist Ese Brume, who is now an ambassador of Amstel Malta Ultra, a no sugar added premium malt drink and one of Nigeria's biggest supporters of sports. The long jumper is featured in a new campaign tagged Choose Your Way to Live, which was launched in Lagos, Nigeria. Eze Brume is the current Commonwealth champion and three-time African senior champion in long jump. And we move to the foreign scene. The National Basketball Association's NBA Portland Trail Blazers are terminating their multi-year jersey patch agreement with cryptocurrency firm StormX. The Blazers signed the partnership in 2021 with the deal set to expire in 2026. In doing so, StormX became the first crypto-based company to sign an NBA jersey patch sponsorship, as well as becoming the first crypto brand to work with the team. Though financial details weren't disclosed at the time, the startup platform said it had signed an 8-figure contract to sponsor the team. Moving on to football now. Real Madrid president Florentino Perez believes football is sick and claimed resurrecting the European Super League project would be one way to restore its health. The Spanish Giants were one of the dozen clubs in April last year who signed up to a proposed breakaway league, which collapsed following backlash from supporters once the idea came into the public domain. While the 6 English sides withdrew, Real, along with Barcelona and Juventus, refused to renounce the ESL, which Perez reiterated his support for at his club's annual general meeting on October the 2nd. Arsenal have signed an extension of their technical partnership with Adidas, which will continue as the team's kit supplier until 2030. Adidas replaced rival German sportswear brand Puma as the Premier League club's kit supplier ahead of the 2019-2020 season. signing a 5-year deal reportedly worth 60 million pounds rather, annually, totaling 300 million pounds. Financial terms of the new agreement have not been reported. The renewal will place greater focus on Arsenal's women's team with enhanced marketing rights that will aim to raise the global profile of the Women's Super League side. And that's it for the news. We're going to break, and up next is the Dugout segment.
Fantastically finished.
Sport Exchange, and thanks for staying with us. Now we're talking about disruption and disruption in sports, and our focus is in Africa this time around. There are news coming from Africa about how blockchain is influencing sports right now on the continent. And that is what our focus will be on this Dugout segment. Before I introduce my guest, let's quickly look at what the International Business Machine Corporation, how it has defined blockchain, because blockchain is what we want to look at, blockchain technology. According to the International Business Machine Corporation, blockchain has brought disruption to disruption into sports, and that is what we will be looking at. And joining me to look at how blockchain is beginning to disrupt sports as far as the continent of Africa is concerned is my guest, who is based in London now. Samuel Zarek is the Chief Operating Officer of Block Sports AG, based in, I think they're based in Switzerland, but Samuel is in London at the moment. Samuel, let's get down to business. The story is that your company is breaking forth into Africa, and you guys are beginning to sign. You're beginning to help some sports corporation or some sports brand to incorporate the blockchain technology with the use of the NFTs into their delivery in terms of what they deliver or how they engage the audience. Take us through what you guys are achieving, or how you guys are getting this done, and where are you getting it done?
Thank you, Judah. A great question. As you know, for some time now, as a former president of a football club, I looked at Africa as the sort of continent and the environment full of young people, technologically savvy. Obviously, you're sitting in Nigeria. As far as I'm concerned, Nigeria has already become a major tech hub around the world, and with a very young population that is actually looking for new ways of engagement. We at Block Sport, and I as a CEO, very much brought in to scale the operations on a global basis, has pretty much immediately seen there's a huge opportunity to digitalize the African sport. So of course, we had to start somewhere, and we have a very solid infrastructure in some of our partners to sit between South Africa, Nigeria, and Kenya. And we very much started off with the signing of the fan engagement app and the solutions with the Kaizer Chiefs football club, as you probably know, one of the biggest football franchises in Africa and South Africa as well. And then other sports such as rugby and hockey. So last month we signed a 5-year partnership with the Kenyan Rugby Union in order to sort of build the entire ecosystem when it comes down to the blockchain, from the Web3 fan engagement app, which will offer the audience, both national and international, an opportunity to engage in a new way. as well as launch the digital assets, which everyone around the world is talking about, from Top Shop NFTs that really were born in the US and the NBA, all the way to the fund tokens. Now, the most important element here, which we are really starting to succeed and be very different to any of our competition, is that we're great believers that clubs, leagues, and federations around the world should really understand what this opportunity is about, should not necessarily rush to list the tokens on the crypto exchanges, largely due to the fact of what's happened with the crypto market in the last few months. So we are all about utilities, we're all about benefits, and we're all about educating of the sporting entities, senior management and the middle management, to help them two things: to create new revenues, but also engage their fans in the way that they haven't done before, in order to sort of improve the loyalty and improve the relationship between the fans and the sporting properties in this instance. And as I mentioned, we've started off after the Kaiser Chiefs yesterday, or this week, we announced a long-term partnership with South African Hockey Association as well. So we are looking to move into 3 or 4 important sports in Africa, from football, rugby, basketball, and now hockey.
All right. Samir, I noticed that when the blockchain technology started taking over Europe, there were some people who were skeptical about it. I'm going to ask you, maybe it's like a two-pronged question. What do you think was necessary? What was responsible for the skepticism, as well as then on the continent of Africa, some of the people you have approached, or some of the people you are talking to, are they also skeptical about the workability of this particular technology?
Sure. I mean, Judah, skepticism comes, in my view, for 2 reasons. One, because too many horror stories about the major sporting properties getting it wrong. We've recently seen the likes of Man United finishing the contract with a major NFT platform. Also, some of the top European clubs in Spain in particular, Barcelona in this instance, did the same thing. And then we've seen some of the disasters that the likes of Liverpool have done by basically partnering up with Sotheby's to actually launch their NFTs, which were, again, a major flop for various reasons. I think that partnerships are very important. You need to get them right. But the second reason about skepticism is basically lack of knowledge and lack of education. When you don't know enough about the new industry, and the actual fact blockchain is relatively new to the sports industry, started many years ago in the art world, then it moved into the world of consumerism and fashion after that. And now it's not only in the sports industry, but it's moved into the real estate and many other industries. So, if I were in the shoes of major sporting properties management and operators, I, as somebody who was in that position, I actually recognized the benefits of it and made sure that I was educated enough by the right people. So the key thing to address the skepticism and cynicism in the industry is by increasing and improving educational side of the equation and transparency. And of course, the media plays a very important role, and you've got the media that is very pro blockchain because it understands that it's a technology that is really about transparency, because the smart contracts that are part of this NFT fund token utilities are about actually logging in information and protecting all stakeholders and all intellectual property rights holders when it comes down to the potential of the earnings today as well as in the future. So I think if we, as the players of the blockchain industry, in this case in the sports, continue to invest in education, continuing to invest in knowledge transfer, I think ultimately the benefits will be pretty clear and obvious, that those who are skeptical now will end up being probably the biggest ambassadors and promoters of these opportunities.
Let's talk about, I know that, of course, there has to be a lot of infrastructural upgrade, if Africa is really interested, or if Africa is going to benefit from the blockchain technology, especially with its by deploying in its deployment to the sports industry. And we know that we are a developing continent. What is the role that your company will be playing, and what is the role you expect those that you will be meeting on this side, because it's a marriage of a sort? What is the role you expect both parties, or you think both parties should be playing, so that you can all meet in the middle?
So, Julia, first of all, I don't think that there is going to be huge investment into the infrastructure, because the infrastructure of the relatively good internet speed, which is very important in terms of the broadband. The fact that the African youth is massively on smartphones now for years, possibly for decades. And I think if you look at the statistics around the world, it's probably, one of the sort of top continents when it comes down to actually being digitally savvy when it comes down to the smartphones. So because the technology that we've developed and invested in millions over the past few years, tested it with some of the top tier 1 properties across Europe, in particular in all the sports I mentioned, from football and Serie A to basketball in the Euro League, to rugby in the Super League. The Africa, as far as we're concerned, is ready when it comes down to the infrastructure. This is not like building roads. This is not like building the sort of 5G. This is about really bringing the blockchain infrastructure, which, as I said, the countries like Nigeria they're already tech hubs around the world, not necessarily in Africa. So the key thing here will be what we are bringing to the table apart from technology is also the elements of the educations and our expectations that those in the position of power when it comes down to running their clubs, their leagues and federations will understand the opportunity, will be willing to learn alongside us and also implement some of these lessons learned, and will also understand that what they're doing here is, of course, innovative and somewhat pioneering, but at the same time, it's the present and the future. And if they understand that our sort of redefining of the sport industry pyramid goes about having fans on the top, the club operators and management in the middle, and companies like ours at the bottom, blockchain and technology partners, they will soon be able to convince their biggest asset base, which is their fans, that by offering them something new, something innovative, something that's almost the money can't buy experience, by the engagement through this Web3 and the metaverse type of the mobile technology and all the digital assets, it's going to be a win-win. They cannot expect that it's going to happen itself, because everyone's got to invest in making sure that the educational part is ticked off and the promotional activities are done in the right way. The fans have got the confidence this is for their benefit, not just the benefit of the clubs and federations.
All right. Okay. Of course, I know that from what I have and what I've seen you do at Block Sports, I've seen that you are in Kenya, you're in South Africa, that's a bit of East Africa, South Africa. What's going to happen to North and West Africa? Or Central Africa too? What's going to happen to us? We need to look.
We are in conversations with lots and lots of sporting properties in Nigeria, in Ghana, in Zambia, in Zimbabwe, in Rwanda, in Tanzania, in Ivory Coast. We are not being South Africa centric, although perhaps we started off there because one of our strong partners on the ground, Rebecca, has been working with us over the past 2 years and has really kind of understood the power of blockchain, the power of block sport at the same time. But as you know, I'm a well connected when it comes down to the world of football in particular, but now rugby. Actually, this week we're announcing a major partnership between 2 rugby clubs, the Red Star Rugby Club and the Salford Red Devils which are celebrating 150th anniversary next year. And Salford Red Devils have got a strong rugby partnership with one of the top Ghanaian sides. So really, the aspiration and the ambition with Blocksport and all of its partners to massively mobilize the African continent across 4 or 5 important sports and really bring the sort of power digitalization, tokenization, and monetization in order to help them, as I mentioned, twofold, help them to achieve and create new revenues, but more importantly, engage with their fans around the world. And as I mentioned earlier, Kenya stands a serious chance of being at the World Cup next year in France. And we very much hope in the matches, the World Qualifier matches in November, they'll secure that place. And we'd love to see them coming onto the big stage.
What's the reaction you guys are getting now in terms of feedback? I know this is like a turning point, of course, in fans engagement. This is what blockchain technology is offering now. There is like a turning point in fan engagement as far as sport is concerned. So tell me what the feedback is like, especially from your African audience.
The feedback is very, very positive because I think those that we have been discussing opportunities fully understand that if you solely depend on your website and other social media platforms such as Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, where you don't own content, you don't own data, you're technically giving away your IP and your actual property rights to these platforms for nothing. However, if you make a very simple move and very little investment in relation to how much it would cost you to build it from scratch, and move these conversations, move your and incentivize your fans to actually have the app that belongs to their club or that belongs to their national team, and you engage them in a particular way, in a special way, everyone wins. You as the club or the national team can basically up your asks when it comes down to sponsors and partners. As we know that the betting is pretty huge in Africa when it comes down to sports, and lots of betting companies are the main general sponsors of national teams, leagues, and the top clubs as well. And the ability to actually integrate your partners, to integrate the streaming, to integrate ticketing, to integrate your fan shop, to integrate your affiliate marketing links, which create new revenues, is a no-brainer. It's a no-brainer because the sport in Africa, like in most other parts of the world, needs further investment. And when you create something that has digitally strong and solid, even your major sponsors and partners, as well as new ones who are eyeing up the opportunities to enter into the sport industry, look at you in a very, very different way. And I've actually witnessed and experienced doubling, tripling, and quadrupling of the sponsorship ask on an annual basis off the back of this blockchain solution. So our partners in Africa understand it, some more, others less. But our job is very simple. We want to be able to educate as many people. We want to be in this for long haul. That's why our partnerships are 5 + 5 years along. We're not interested in customers. I often talk to the media. We're interested in partners who understand what we bring to the table and are responsible enough to do their bit in order to make these projects successful.
Wow. Well, Samir, I think we will have to leave it at that for now. It's always interesting whenever you're on the show. You have a lot to say. And maybe I should put you on the spot before we go, because I know you will still return someday, because you're always welcome on the show. What do you think is the future of blockchain now? Because in the next 3, 4, 5 years, where do you see blockchain?
Jide, I was in Belgrade last month. I moderated 3 panels, some to do with sports, some to do with the blockchain in education, in real estate. And we've all concluded that actually blockchain as technology is here to stay, largely because it's a technology that's about transparency and fairness in the marketplace. And I often explain to people who don't know much about blockchain about the power of smart contracts, because these smart contracts actually lock in the fair deal structure from the outset all the way till the end. So in my view, the blockchain is here to stay. It's here to introduce more transparency. When you introduce more transparency into any industry, you attract more investment. And I'm very, very positive when it comes down to the present and the future of blockchain.
Thank you very much, Samuel Zerik. Samuel Zerik, by the way, is the Chief Operating Officer of Black Sports AG, and he's based in the UK. Thanks for joining me, and I wish you all the best.
Thank you so much.
All right, that's it for this Dugout segment, and it's time for me to say my bye-bye, but before, let me get you the offside for the week. And before the offside for the week, don't forget that you can also reach out to us. We can get your feedback on our social media platforms. Don't forget, on Twitter, it is at SportXchange24, SportXchange24. And the same, SportXchange24 on Facebook. Yeah, you can like our page and follow us as well. Okay, and of course, TV360 Nigeria is where you can watch some editions or all the editions of Sport Exchange right from the beginning when we started. You can get it on TV360 Nigeria on YouTube. Yes, our offside today is about the elections of the Nigerian Football Federation. The Nigerian Football Federation's elections that gathered a stormy cloud have come and gone. Winners have emerged, and the unlucky ones will have to try another. Now to the new leadership, which personnel is about 70% of the last board. If the last 8 years leaves much to be desired, then there is more to be done. Football is a big business with a multiplier effect if its potential is properly annexed. The NFF board, as the custodian of Nigerian football, needs to make intentional moves to develop the game from bottom up with relevant stakeholders. The numbers in the ecosystem must provide jobs in the manufacturing, sportswear, academia, hospitality, technical, and so on and so forth. And it must inspire people to dream and live with the confidence that a future is assured. Who says football cannot jumpstart Nigeria's industrial revolution? Who says? That's it. On that note, that's where I will be dropping the anchor on today's show. Thanks for joining me for another edition. My name is Jide Olano. Have a fantastic week ahead.